Good morning. Well, again, I could not figure out how to go live from my Post-it scheduled live, so if someone knows how to do that, somebody tell me how. It's a learning process. Certainly, I'm still figuring this out. So, now that I've shared my I don't know what I'm doing fact with you, I am actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm sitting in a different place. And in honor of our topic of changing perspective, I changed my perspective. And it wasn't by much. It was a little teeny tiny switch. I literally walked 2 houses down to my neighbors, and I'm sitting on their pier, which is just 2 houses away. But the perspective is completely different. In fact, when I got down here, I had the camera faced one way because I thought that's where the sunrise would be. And it turns out that's not where it is at all. So as I sat here a couple more minutes, I realized the sun was someplace else. So it's amazing what just a little tiny switch of perspective does and your view and how you look at things. So I was going to talk a little bit about a talk that I do actually for business people on a regular basis that in my business training. And it's about changing a perspective. And it's actually about failure, which is kind of ironic considering that I wasn't able to get this video to work this morning. So maybe it's a reminder to myself. And if you've heard of the product called WD-40, WD-40 is a lubricant. It's commonly used all throughout the world and definitely in a lot of households, certainly on a lot of farms. And so I've used it quite a bit. And WD-40 got its name because it was the 40th try, the 40th attempt at trying to get that formula correct. And as someone who uses that product on a regular basis, I am so happy that they kept going. And they didn't quit on try number 5 or try number 7 or even try number 39 because the product's pretty darn good. And so I'm glad that they kept going on it. Which is where I come up with, there's an acronym for FAIL, which is FAIL. That's what it spells, of course. But FAIL means the first attempt at learning. And if you think about it, it sometimes feels like a failure. A lot of things feel like a failure. Here comes the sun. It's popping over the top right now. They feel like a failure. But if you really think about it, almost everything you do is an attempt in learning. You know, when a kid starts walking, he falls down over and over and over again. But it doesn't bother him. He keeps getting up because he knows, or they don't really know, they just want to walk. And so they keep trying. And eventually they learn to walk, but they don't learn to walk on their first try. It was their first attempt, their second attempt, their third attempt, their 100th attempt before they actually walked. There's another product that came out, Bubble Wrap. Bubble Wrap was originally invented in the 1960s as a textured wallpaper of all things. Somebody thought that would make a really good wallpaper. It didn't. And so it failed. And so then somebody said, well, maybe it would make a good housing insulation. It wasn't good at that either. So they wrapped it up in a box and they said, big failure of a product. We messed that one up. And a couple years later, somebody at IBM was wrapping up a computer and they said, hey, grab some of that stuff over there. And they wrapped it around that computer. And it ended up being, and still is, one of the most popular packaging materials there is. So while the product itself seemed like a failure, a second look, a second perspective made it feel like it was not. And it really wasn't. And the important part of that is that they shared their failure. Maybe they didn't mean to, but they ended up sharing their failure with other people. And so somebody else's perspective on it helped them succeed. So that's another part of this, is that you need to share your failures and not look at them as failures. Look at them as first attempts in learning and a chance to share what you've learned and also get the fresh perspective of your friends and family and of your team so that they might be able to look at it with a different set of eyes and come up with a better idea for it. A different way that it actually can be a success. But it takes a little bit of vulnerability. It takes sticking yourself out there and going, oh, I messed that up. Kind of like I did this morning, like not being able to figure out how to get the video to start. I shared it with you guys, hoping that somebody watching this at some point goes, well, here, let me show you how to do that. But without sharing my vulnerability, without sharing my attempt in learning, I wouldn't have gotten that feedback that I'm hoping I get. So I hope everybody has a lovely day. I hope you appreciate this different perspective. I'm going to sit here for a few minutes and watch that sun keep coming up over the horizon and enjoy my new perspective on the same sunrise that I see just 2 houses down. But it looks so different here. What a cool change of perspective. All right, everybody. Sun is up. It's beautiful as usual. It's a miracle every darn day it comes up, and really grateful for all of it. And grateful for all of you for watching with me today. If you came on a little bit late, I talked a little bit about change of perspective. I'm actually sitting on a different pier, just 2 houses down, and the change of perspective is quite amazing. And talked a little bit about failure today too, and how it's important to share those failures and vulnerabilities so that you can get the help of the people around you and get their perspective on how it may not actually be a failure, but actually just a first attempt in learning. So hope everybody has a lovely, wonderful day. I love all of you. I appreciate all of you, and I'm glad you're all here with me today. Thanks.